What if I told you that the very person who gave you life might also be the one holding back your healing? Until you truly understand the hidden spiritual connection with your mother, your heart will always feel unfinished, no matter how much meditation, prayer, or therapy you do. This may sound shocking, but Paramahansa Yogananda, the great spiritual master who brought yoga and meditation to the West, once revealed that your mother is far more than just the woman who raised you. She is, in fact, a mirror of your soul's karma. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed how deeply your mother's words, whether kind or harsh, echo inside of you? Even decades later, her voice can lift you to heaven or drag you into despair. Why is that? It is because the soul chooses its mother, not by accident, not by chance, but as part of a sacred contract, written before you were even born. Think of it this way. If your soul is the seed, your mother is the soil into which that seed was planted. The soil cannot be separated from the seed's destiny. If the soil is rich, the seed grows easily. If the soil is rocky, the seed must struggle. But through that struggle, it gains strength it would never otherwise have known. Yogananda once said that our earthly parents are not just biological figures. They are karmic channels through which our soul learns its greatest lessons. And for most of us, the greatest lessons come through our mothers. Maybe your mother was nurturing, gentle, and full of love. Or maybe she was harsh, critical, and cold. Either way, Yogananda explained that she was not placed in your life by accident. Your soul drew her to you, because only through her could you face the unfinished karma you carry from lifetimes before. Now pause for a moment. Reflect on your own relationship with your mother. Is it one of warmth and gratitude, or is it heavy with wounds that never seem to heal? Here's the truth. Until you understand this spiritual contract with your mother, you will keep repeating the same patterns in your health, your relationships, and even in the silent battles of your heart. But here's the good news. Once you awaken to this truth, everything can change. Your mother's presence, whether she is alive or has already passed into the other world, can become the key to your healing, your peace, and even your liberation. And in this video, we're going to uncover a hidden teaching from Yogananda himself. It's a story from his own life, where he faced the heartbreak of losing his mother at a young age. Out of that grief, he discovered something extraordinary, that the bond between child and mother is not broken by death, and that true healing comes only when we see our mother, not just as a person, but as a divine messenger of the soul's journey. So stay with me, because what you're about to hear may completely change the way you look at your life, your pain, and your path to healing. Paramahansa Yogananda did not just teach about the soul's connection with the mother. He lived it in a very personal and heart-breaking way. When Yogananda was still a young boy, his life was shaken by a tragedy that left an imprint on his heart forever. The sudden passing of his beloved mother. She was not just a figure of discipline or duty in his home. To him, she was his first spiritual guide, the one who introduced him to prayer, to devotion, and to the sacred rhythms of the divine life. In her presence, he felt God's love in its purest form. But then, in a moment he could never have expected, she was gone. Imagine for a moment the grief of a young child losing his mother, the ache, the emptiness, the unbearable silence where once there had been warmth and laughter. Yogananda later wrote that this wound never fully left him. It was as though a piece of his soul had been torn away. Yet here lies the hidden truth he discovered. Even though the bond with his mother seemed broken by death, it was actually preparing him for one of the deepest spiritual lessons of his life. You see, Yogananda realized that the bond between a child and mother is not a physical bond. It is a soul bond. It stretches beyond the body, beyond time, even beyond the grave. And in losing her physically, he was forced to discover her presence in a deeper, invisible way. He once shared that in moments of meditation, he could feel her spirit near him. Her love had not vanished, it had transformed. It was no longer tied to a human form. It was now part of the eternal flow of divine love itself. But there was more. Yogananda came to see that his mother's early departure was not an accident of fate, it was part of his karmic path. Her absence created a deep yearning in him, a hunger that nothing in the material world could fill. That hunger drove him to seek God with an intensity that might never have been possible had she lived longer. Think about that for a moment. The very pain that seemed like a curse was actually the force that pushed him toward his destiny as a world teacher. Now pause and reflect on your own life. Perhaps you also carry pain in your relationship with your mother. Maybe she is still alive, and the relationship feels strained, heavy, or unresolved. Or maybe she has already passed away, leaving behind unspoken words and unfinished feelings. Yogananda's story invites us to see these wounds differently. They are not random. They are not meaningless. They are, in fact, part of the soul's curriculum, the exact lessons you chose before birth. He often explained that when we look at our parents only through the lens of personality, judging them for their flaws, their mistakes, or their absence, we miss the bigger picture. But when we see them as instruments of karma, as divine messengers carrying the lessons our soul most needs, suddenly the pain begins to make sense. His own mother, through her love and her loss, gave him the gift of devotion and the fire of longing that fueled his entire spiritual mission. And here's the hidden teaching. Your mother, whether she nurtured you or wounded you, is also the bearer of a gift that your soul specifically needed. The question is, can you rise above the surface pain and see the deeper purpose? Because as Yogananda discovered, until you do, the wound remains just as it is. But once you awaken to the truth, the wound transforms into a doorway to healing, to strength, and to freedom. Yogananda often said that modern science has only begun to scratch the surface of what ancient yogis have known for millennia. The bond between a mother and child is not merely biological, it is profoundly spiritual. When a soul is preparing to be born, it is not randomly assigned to a womb. The vibration of the mother, her thoughts, emotions, and karmic tendencies literally attracts the soul that must learn through her. This is the hidden law of vibration. Like attracts like. That means you were not just born to your mother, you were magnetically drawn into her field by karmic resonance. Your soul and hers already knew each other before you took your first breath. And it doesn't stop there. During pregnancy, your mother's inner life becomes the soil in which your soul's first earthly roots take hold. Modern psychologists confirm that a mother's stress, joy, or fear can leave lasting imprints on the unborn child. Yogananda explained this even more deeply. The very thoughts your mother holds during pregnancy imprint subtle patterns onto your astral body, the energy sheath that shapes your physical and mental life. This is why he often urged expectant mothers to fill their hearts with peace, prayer, and uplifting thoughts. Because in those months, they are literally sculpting the foundation of another soul's destiny. But here's the mystery. Those imprints are not punishments. They are chosen on a higher level. Your soul knew what kind of womb it needed to enter, what kind of motherly energy it needed to absorb, even if that energy was wounded or heavy. Think of it this way. If you came to this life to learn courage, you might need to experience fear in the womb. If you came to learn forgiveness, you might need to be born to someone who would test your patience or hurt you. If you came to awaken unconditional love, you may have chosen a mother who struggled to love herself, so that you could learn to generate love from within. This is the science of karma and reincarnation at work. Yogananda also revealed something astonishing about the energetic link between mother and child. It does not dissolve at birth. The subtle connection, an invisible cord of prana, or life force, remains throughout life, no matter the distance. Have you ever felt your mother's worry across miles, or sensed her joy without a word spoken? That is this energy at play. In yogic terms, your mother's consciousness creates ripples in your own aura, and your energy affects hers as well. This is why the relationship can feel so powerful, so magnetic, sometimes comforting, sometimes suffocating, but always deep. Yogananda explained that this connection is part of why unresolved issues with one's mother can weigh so heavily. They are not just psychological memories, they are active energetic currents still flowing between you. If they remain dark or bitter, they continue to pull on your vitality, but if they are healed with love and forgiveness, the same current becomes a river of strength, nourishing both souls. Now consider this hidden dimension. The mother-child bond is not only about this life. According to Yogananda, many of us reincarnate with the same souls in different roles, sometimes as partners, sometimes as siblings, and often as parent and child. This means that the woman you call mother today may have once been your child, your spouse, or your sibling in a past life. And the karmic threads between you are woven across centuries. So when you look at your mother only in the narrow frame of this lifetime, judging her for what she did or did not do, you miss the larger story. She may be repaying a karmic debt. You may be balancing one yourself. What looks like conflict or unfairness in this life is often the balancing of accounts written long ago. This is why Yogananda encouraged his students to hold a sacred view of their parents, regardless of their imperfections. He said, "See your mother and father as souls, souls caught in their own karmic drama, souls doing their best with the light they have, souls chosen by you for your growth." When you begin to see through this lens, even the most painful memories begin to shift. Resentment gives way to perspective. Anger gives way to compassion. And compassion, he said, is the vibration that dissolves karma like sunlight dissolves fog. Modern listeners might be tempted to dismiss these teachings as metaphysical poetry. But science itself is slowly catching up. Epigenetics shows us that emotional patterns and traumas can literally be passed from parent to child, not just through DNA but through chemical signals influenced by thoughts and emotions. Neuroscience tells us that children absorb their parents' stress hormones, shaping their nervous systems for life. What the yogis said in spiritual language, the mother's consciousness imprints the child. Science now confirms in its own language. But here is where Yogananda went further. He taught that no imprint, no karmic scar, is permanent. With meditation, prayer, and higher awareness, you can rewrite the patterns, heal the inherited wounds, and even send blessings backward and forward along the family line. This is the deeper spiritual science. Your bond with your mother is not a fixed fate. It is a living current of energy, shaped by karma but also transformable by consciousness. And until you awaken to this truth, part of your healing will remain locked. But once you embrace it, once you see your mother not as an obstacle but as a divine key, the entire story of your life begins to transform. Yogananda taught that the most important lessons of life are often the simplest. And when it comes to healing the karmic bond with your mother, he reduced it to 3 keys: forgiveness, gratitude, and understanding. At first, these may sound ordinary, but let us go deeper, because in their true meaning lies the power to unlock generations of karmic weight. Forgiveness, Yogananda said, is not about excusing or forgetting the wrongs done to you. It is not about pretending that pain did not happen. Forgiveness is about freeing yourself from the poison of resentment. When you hold on to bitterness toward your mother, whether she was absent, critical, controlling, or even harmful, you are keeping the karmic knot tied tight. That energy continues to circulate between you, draining your vitality and clouding your heart. But when you forgive, you are not saying, "What you did was right." You are saying, "I refuse to let this pain define me any longer. I release it into the hands of the divine." Yogananda often compared forgiveness to opening a window in a suffocating room. The pain does not vanish instantly, but light and fresh air begin to flow in. The suffocation eases. Your own soul begins to breathe again. So ask yourself, what is one thing you can forgive your mother for today, not because she deserves it, but because you deserve freedom? The second key is gratitude. For many, this is even harder than forgiveness. How do you feel gratitude toward a mother who hurt you or who failed you in some way? Yogananda's answer was simple yet profound. You don't have to be grateful for her actions. You can be grateful for the lessons her actions gave you. If she was nurturing, you can thank her for showing you a glimpse of the Divine Mother's love. If she was cold or distant, you can thank her for teaching you how to draw strength from within. If she criticized you harshly, you can thank her for giving you the opportunity to build resilience and self-worth beyond the opinions of others. This does not mean denying your pain. It means reframing it in the light of the soul. Gratitude is like alchemy. It takes the lead of suffering and turns it into the gold of wisdom. And here's the miracle. The moment you shift into gratitude, your energy changes. Where there was heaviness, there is lightness. Where there was blame, there is clarity. Gratitude changes not only how you feel about the past, it begins to transform the energy that flows into your future. The third key is perhaps the deepest: understanding. Yogananda urged his students to stop seeing their parents only as mother or father and to start seeing them as souls with their own wounds, their own karmic debts, their own struggles. Your mother may have carried her own burdens from childhood. Perhaps she never received the love she longed for. Perhaps she lived with fears she could not overcome. Perhaps her own relationship with her mother left scars she unconsciously passed down to you. When you recognize this, something shifts. Instead of looking at her with the eyes of a wounded child, you begin to look at her with the eyes of compassion. You see her not as a villain, not even as just a parent, but as a fellow traveler on the path of life, someone who, like you, is trying to find her way. This does not erase the pain she may have caused, but it softens the sharp edges of judgment. It opens the door to compassion, which Yogananda said is the highest vibration of the heart, and compassion is what dissolves karmic bonds faster than anything else. So how do you put these three keys into practice? Yogananda offered simple but powerful techniques. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and bring your mother's image to mind. If she is alive, visualize her standing before you. If she has passed, imagine her soul bathed in light. Silently repeat, "I forgive you. I thank you and I understand you as a soul on your journey." Send her love, not because of what she did, but because love is the only energy that heals. Even if your heart resists, even if it feels false at first, continue this practice. Over time, the energy shifts. What was once bitterness becomes softness. What was once a pain becomes wisdom. Yogananda assured his students that when they truly applied these three keys, the results were astonishing. Physical ailments began to ease. Emotional heaviness lifted. Relationships with children, partners, and friends improved, because the karmic root had been healed at its source. You see, when the knot with your mother is untied, energy begins to flow freely again. Your soul no longer carries the hidden weight of ancestral pain. You become lighter, freer, more radiant. And here is the most beautiful truth. Even if your mother never changes, even if she never apologizes or acknowledges your pain, you can still heal. Because healing does not depend on her. It depends on the transformation of your own heart. So ask yourself, are you ready to unlock the door? Are you ready to forgive, to find gratitude, to understand? Because Yogananda promised, when you heal your bond with your mother, you heal a part of yourself that no medicine, no outer achievement, and no worldly success could ever reach. Now, I want to pause here, because I know some of you listening may be feeling a resistance in your heart. You may be saying to yourself, "This all sounds beautiful, but you don't know what my mother did. You don't know the depth of the wounds I carry." And you're right. I don't know the exact story of your life. But Yogananda did know the depth of human suffering. He met countless disciples whose lives were marked by pain, betrayal, neglect, and heartbreak, many of them connected to their parents. And yet, He always returned to one truth: healing is possible for every soul. Let us be very clear. Forgiveness and understanding do not mean you must allow a toxic relationship to continue. If your mother was abusive, if she continues to harm you, setting boundaries is not only healthy, it is spiritual. Love is not submission. Healing does not mean tolerating further wounds. What it does mean is this: you can heal without her participation. You can heal even if she never says sorry, even if she has already left this world, even if contact with her today would only bring more harm. Because forgiveness and understanding are not acts you do for her. They are acts you do for yourself. They are keys that unlock your own soul from the prison of bitterness. Think of it like carrying a burning coal in your hand. Holding on hurts only you. Dropping it does not change the fire. It only frees you from the pain. Some of you may have lost your mother early, or perhaps she abandoned you and was never present in your life. The wound of absence can be as deep as the wound of mistreatment. To you, Yogananda would say, the Divine Mother never abandoned you. The human mother may have been absent, but the Universal Mother, God in her most tender aspect, has been with you every breath of your life. Your healing may not come from memories of your human mother, but from cultivating a relationship with the Divine Mother within. In your meditations, in your prayers, in your silent moments, you can call upon her, and you will find, slowly but surely, that the emptiness begins to fill with a love that surpasses all human limitations. And here is something very important. When you choose to heal, you are not healing for yourself alone. You are breaking a chain. The resentments you carry toward your mother can easily be passed down unconsciously to your own children, or even to the relationships you form with others. But when you choose forgiveness, gratitude, and understanding, the cycle stops with you. Yogananda said that a soul who consciously heals their karmic bond uplifts not only themselves, but generations before and after them. Imagine that. Your personal healing ripples out into your family line, past and future. You become a channel of light, not just for yourself, but for your ancestors and descendants. This is why your healing matters more than you may realize. It is not only personal, it is generational. And so, my friend, we return to the central truth. You will never fully heal until you understand this about your mother. She was not just a parent. She was a soul chosen by your soul, a teacher, whether through love or through pain, sent to guide you back to yourself. Healing this bond does not mean the past disappears. It means the past transforms into wisdom. It means the chain of pain is broken. It means your heart is free to love more fully, to live more joyfully, to connect more deeply with the divine. But remember this, what we've discussed today is only the beginning. Because Yogananda also revealed a hidden dimension to the parental bond that few people know. He spoke of how the karmic tie between parent and child can carry over not only from this life, but from many lifetimes. And that sometimes, what appears as conflict in this life is simply the continuation of a drama that began long ago. And here's the astonishing part. He also gave exact methods, ancient spiritual practices, for not only dissolving these karmic knots, but for turning them into fuel for your soul's liberation. Would you like to know what those methods are? In our next video, we will dive into Yogananda'S secret techniques for breaking karmic ties, not just with your mother, but with anyone who has left deep marks on your soul. So if today's message spoke to you, if your heart feels lighter, or if you know you still have work to do, make sure you don't miss what comes next. Because the path we are walking together is not a single step, it is a journey, and every step takes you closer to freedom. Until then, remember, you are not alone. You are loved, you are guided, and the Divine Mother herself walks with you.